Some games this weekend, folks. Some games this weekend mean a ton. Again, that Saturday night game is going to mean a lot more than just a game. Again, Raiders at Steelers to celebrate the Immaculate Reception. But some other contests, Eagles and Cowboys, is Jalen Hurts going to go? Vikings and Giants, how does that sound? Could be a potential playoff preview. There's a lot of teams hoping that the Vikings win this thing and send the Giants a little bit further back. Teams like the Lions, teams like the Seahawks. The Seahawks are in Kansas City. What a tough spot for them to try and bounce back. San Francisco's taking on the Washington Commanders. The Commanders are sitting there in the 7th seed. The Niners are hoping the Giants can trip up Minnesota so they could take the 2 spot. You know, you've got, again, the Jacksonville Jaguars against my Jets coming up tomorrow night. How big is that game? Jacksonville could take a step forward. The Titans coming back with Malik Willis right now. But they're taking on the Houston Texans. Will Derrick Henry get another 200-yard game against him? That's what he usually does. They need it. They need it more than ever with Jacksonville. No Trevon Walker, apparently, for him, the number 1 overall pick. Won't be heading towards Zach Wilson's direction. Detroit's in Carolina. Carolina's got a shot at Tampa, right? As great a shot as anybody in that division is Tampa. Everyone else is 5-9, but they're the only one with a win over Tampa, and they faced Tampa in the last week of the season, and the Lions are like, we need this. They want to go above 500. That's huge. That's big. The Baltimore Ravens, they need a dub. They needed a victory to keep pace, one would think, with Cincinnati, the way that Cincinnati has been playing. Lamar is not spotted at practice today. And I'll tell you what, man, do they need him. They need him back in the worst way they need him back. And the Atlanta Falcons have some designs on winning this division. Desmond Ridder going into the bank on Saturday. The 3 games on Christmas Day. How big are they? Tampa needs a win. It's a very McSorley Christmas, it seems, right? For the Arizona Cardinals?
It
Correct,
does,
Chris?
yeah. Colt McCoy still in concussion protocol, ruled out. Trace McSorley.
Penn State's home run hitter.
Yeah.
Taking on Tom Brady. And the Bucs, that's the night game. The Broncos and Rams in the middle for our viewing pleasure. Then there's that first game. I want to linger on these 2 teams here. The Packers, we know, need it. They got to win out. 2 teams I want to talk about right here. The Dolphins and the Bengals. We talked about the Dolphins all season long, wanting to see Salty Tua, right? We need to see Salty Tua. We need to see him just really get that gumption. Tell everybody, you know, I hear what you're saying about me, but guess what? I'm friggin' Tua Tagovailoa, and you're not.
I don't know about you, but that looked like money.
That's right. But we said all along, as I had anointed Tua elite, and his numbers are elite quarterback, we talked about the Dolphins' final 6 games all along. That's what we said. Their last 6 games of this season are very difficult. And we'll see if that 8-3 record going into their final 6 games, how that would play out. Certainly when they had a 3-game road trip at San Francisco, at Chargers, at Buffalo. And they've lost all of the first 3. Going 500 in those 6 games, I think they would have signed up for that going in. But in order to achieve that, they got to win their last 3. Home against Green Bay, at New England on New Year's Day, and then home for the Jets, who might need that desperately too. And losing at San Francisco, obviously, is no shame in that. That game against the Chargers, I think they'd wish they could have that one back. And all you see from the all 22 folks is, the film watchers on Twitter, is that Tua had some shots against San Francisco and he missed them. And then he played maybe his best game of the year. Certainly, the offense did as a whole in Buffalo.
They were great. I was really impressed.
They were very impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive, and also showed, okay, if they got to go on the road in the playoffs, here we go. They might have to go to Buffalo again. They might have to go to Cincinnati. They may have to go to Baltimore. They may have to go, obviously, to Kansas City. So, in Cincinnati. And that's where I want to linger as well, Cincinnati, because their road to the playoffs looked really bleak when they started 0-2, and then they lost on Halloween night in Cleveland and got punked. And everyone started looking towards the end of the season and saying that is a really tough schedule, and that's when they're going to get got and exposed as last year potentially being a one-off. And in the same way that the Dolphins so far have not won on that tough stretch, the Bengals have not lost in that stretch. Look at the stretch since losing on Halloween night. They doubled up Carolina at home, came off the bye, went into Pittsburgh, won there, then went to Tennessee when Tennessee was on its high. This is way before Tennessee started its swoon. As a matter of fact, Cincinnati started Tennessee's swoon. They went in a paint swapping affair, and, the Titans took their heart pills and buckled up, and without Jamar Chase, came out with the win, and then had Kansas City, and they did it again. Just when you thought they can't do it again. They're not going to have, they now, quote unquote, have Kansas City's number. Home for Cleveland. Yeah, Deshaun Watson was back. And yeah, that was Joe Burrow's first ever career win against Cleveland. And then they went to Tampa, fell down 17-0, and won that game by double digits. And now, this weekend, they're at New England. That's the latest test before they finish up at home against Buffalo and Baltimore. Look at that stretch that they haven't lost in. Last year's 1 seed, potentially this year's 1 seed in Kansas City, and if it's not them, it might be Buffalo who they see in 2 weeks. Tom Brady all pissed off, needing to win and going up 17 on him. A Cleveland team that Burrow's yet to beat. Come on now. You got to give it up. You want to talk about battle-tested? Here's a team that went to the Super Bowl last year and lost it, and there is no hangover. Everyone was talking about a hangover at 0-2. You don't want to face them, man. Name me a spot where Joe Burrow, you could say he can get God. Other than Cleveland, to be very honest with you.
Yeah, they kind of have his number. But
this weekend, New England coming off the Hail Moron.
You.
Okay, coming off that. Them needing to win. Belichick has got to be in everyone's grill. I mean, it has to be a tough holiday week. I mean, you want to talk about Grinch. He has got to be totally, and it clearly hasn't shown it publicly. He has got to be beside himself that the biggest boneheaded situational football play maybe ever. And I know we talk in hyperbole these days where the present is definitely historic no matter what. But this is pretty damn historic to lose a game like that where your team's throwing it around like they're desperate for points because they need points because they're about to lose because they're down 7-6 in a divisional playoff game on their own 40-yard line with 22 seconds to go and no timeouts left and need an immaculate reception. Instead, they do that. In a tie game that everybody's expecting to go overtime against a team that's done nothing but blow leads all year long, and including the game that the Patriots just lost. So Belichick has all sorts of whatever is up his sleeve, every trick in the book ready for Joe Burrow and this Bengals team. And you could laugh all you want. Mac can't do this, and the coordinators are brutal, and the offense is predictable. And I know, Chris, you're making that noise like what?
They are. I mean, you're not.
I'm telling
you're
no
not telling
lies.
any lies.
I know
mean,
that.
Come on.
Say that all you want. Gillette on Christmas Eve with Belichick coming off of this game, in my mind, for Burrow is just as tough as any of those opponents right there, and especially when it's on top of this gauntlet that they have successfully run. So in contrast, again, the Dolphins had this schedule. How are they going to go through it? Well, they've lost the first 3. Everybody's looking at the Bengals. Well, congrats on coming back from that 0-2 start. And you just lost. You just got punked by Jacoby Brissett and the Browns on Halloween night. We're looking down the road. We're seeing what you got in November, December. Vaya con Dios. Nice going. They got a shot at the 1 seed. Again, if Kansas City somehow loses once in the next 3 games against Seattle at home this weekend, and then Kansas City, after this Christmas Eve game, has a game home against Denver. And then they're at Vegas. Boy, would the Raiders love to just stick it to the Kansas City Chiefs at the end, because all they got to do is lose once and the Bengals win out, because winning out means they've beaten Buffalo. The Bengals can be the 1 seed in the AFC because they would be able to cash in their tiebreakers against the Chiefs and the Bills. How impressive is that? Oh, yeah, we got tiebreaks against the Chiefs and the Bills in our back pocket. You want to include the Titans in that? Go for it. You want to include the Patriots in that? Yeah, why not? Just for good measure. Honestly.
If that happens,
what's more impressive than that?
They'd have to be the Super Bowl favorite.
And they can be. And people aren't talking about them as such now because they're still the Bengals. And what? What's more impressive than the run that they're on right now? This is a big game this weekend in New England. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.